can you imagine being this teeny tiny little mouse or snowflake? Maybe your snowflakes falling from the sky. And as you're doing that, you're looking at these snowmen that are way above you. So you can look up and you can see the snowman looking down at you. Maybe you're a little mouse, maybe you're a little snowflake. Whatever you are, think about what would you see? Are you going to see their scarves? Are you going to see what's in their hands? Are you going to see all the details really well on their hats? Or are you going to see more of the snow or things on their buttons, on their bellies? All those great things. So think about what it would be like if you were that point of view with the snowman above you. Let's look at that as our composition today. So let's get started with our point of view snowmen. Doesn't this look cool? How they look like they're looking right at you, and they all come together in that middle part. So for today's project, you're going to need a piece of paper. Then you're going to need a cup and a brush so you can have some water in it, as well as a plastic bag and a few different color markers. Now, what we're going to start with is a crayon. When we're using that, you can use a crayon or a permanent marker. And what this does is when we make a watercolor effect with our markers on our paper, it doesn't bleed through. So here's an example of one that doesn't have the background filled in. And if you don't feel like painting it with your markers, you can always color it in with crayons. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make almost like a circle or a curve off of each corner. So make it rather big. This is the bottom of your snowman. Once you're done with the first, go to your second corner and make a nice big curve. And then go to your last one as well. Now, once you have that done, you're going to start with the next part. So find a spot on your snowman and draw that curve. What you're going to notice is when you do this, if it touches another one, that's okay. You pretend that it goes behind it and think, where is it going to come out? And you draw that next one. Perfect. Now that we have the two, we're going to add on our buttons. So buttons, because you are looking from the down, like leaning down all the way up, they're going to start really tiny away from you. And then they're going to get really big as they come closer. These could be any shapes that you would like. So I did circles, but now you can also do squares or hearts. It's entirely up to you. Remember, as you fill them in, you can always turn your paper to make it easier for you, but they start off small and then they grow bigger. Good job. Now let's look at our next step that we're going to do. Think about all the different types of eyes that you could make on your snowman, as well as mouths, different types of noses that you think you might want to add. How would you make your own snowman? So go in and come up with a few different types of eyes and add those in on your snowman. Think about, you can also add in some eyebrows and then start working on adding in a nose. A trick that I use when I make my nose is I do that little bit of a rainbow, a dot, and I connect it, and then I do the little curves inside. So for each of your snowmen, why don't you go in and add in eyes, different noses, and mouths, and really make each of them come alive. When you're making each of your snowman faces, think about, are there some actions that you would like them to be doing? Are they singing? Are they drinking hot cocoa? Would you wish that you could make one that's a fairy or a cat or a unicorn? Take some time and really come up with what you want yours to look like. So once you get done with the faces, why don't you add on the arms? They can be stick arms, they could be, long sticks that have gloves attached. You could have the hands holding on to something. So I want you to play and come up with your own style. So the first two, I just did the simple ones. But then for my ones with the glove, I just did a line, the two lines, a little thumb, and a hand. So I start with a line, make it look like a box, and then I draw a rainbow and connect it. And those are my mittens. If you feel like it, go in, add some texture and detail inside of your mittens. I think that always draws your eye to your snowman and makes it even more fun and enjoyable when someone looks at it. So you can create any style that you would like as you make these. What I've done is I've added in some action lines by just doing these three little lines. But what we're going to do next is add on, what do you want to do for your snowman's head? You can add in any style of a hat that you would like. So here I just did some fluffy clouds to make it look fuzzy, and I did a little cap on my one. When you're doing this, you might notice that you don't draw all of it because another snow person or man is in front. You could also add in earmuffs. You could have things just hiding. So here I'm just drawing a hat. And you could create yours in any way that you want. So feel free to go in and add any scarves if you want yours to have a scarf on, or if you want yours holding hot cocoa somewhere. When you make your scarves, make them any way you want, and I think it just gives it a little bit more fun character. So here I'm adding on earmuffs and a little pattern. It just makes it fun. Once you've done decorating your snow characters, we're going to go in and add some snowflakes. So I want you to go around and draw some different size circles for snow. Think of doing some large ones, some medium ones, and some small ones, and really decorate all of the spaces between your characters. This is going to help give the illusion that it's snowing outside and that you are underneath and they're all leaning over you. Great job. All right, now that we have that, go in and start adding color to just the hats and your noses. Our next step is we're going to be using markers to create a watercolor background wash. So you'll need a plastic bag, a couple colors of blues and purples, and a brush. So what you're going to do is, looking at our project, we don't want to go inside. I mean, you can if you want to go inside and use just the water, and you can just get it a little bit wet, and it's going to wake up those markers and turn the marker into watercolor paint. So see how nicely that spreads? You could do the same thing if you didn't get to color in exactly the way you wanted to with your noses as well. It just makes it a little bit more fun and spreads it nicely. Again, this is your choice. You do not have to do that if you don't want to. So you can see I made an extra little drip. So what we're going to do is the second part. We are going to take our plastic bag, and this could be saran wrap, a lunch baggie, anything that you've got that's waterproof, really. And we're going to use these different blues to create this watercolor background. So I have a light blue, a dark blue, and a purple, almost like a galaxy. You could also use aluminum foil if you have this at home too. So the first step is to just color a spot on your bag. As you can see, grab your brush nice and wet, swirl it around, and then you're going to paint over only the area of the background. See how nicely that works? One of my favorite parts is when I'm doing this, using the crayon that we did when we drew it, it allows the crayon to stay there and it doesn't move. So here I'm going to go in and take some blue, and I'm going to get a little bit more water because remember, we've got to wake it up. And you could place it next to, on top of, and mix that purple and the blue together. So you'll see if I'm grabbing some more water here, and you can mix your two colors together and make a bluish purple, an indigo. The less water on your brush, the darker the color is going to be. The more water on your brush, the lighter the color is going to be. So for the third thing here, what I wanted to show you is when we work on these areas, you can also get your background really nice and wet instead of doing the color, and you could tap on it. So as you tap on it, it's going to turn it into like a fireworks display on your paper, which is a lot of fun. So here I'm going to grab a little bit more color, swirl it around, and tap on here. And you can see how it does its own little blending version by just tapping. You could go in and grab some other colors, but it just blends it in a nice, fun way. So why don't you go ahead and, using your markers, go in and fill in the rest of your project. I wanted to say, if your blue goes onto your snowman just a little bit, that's actually really perfect, because then you can go in and add some of that shadow. So here I'm using some of the markers, and you can see my my black marker actually came out a little bit blue. So I had to grab a fresher black marker, and I could actually make some black for my hat here. When you're done with your baggie, just take a Kleenex or a piece of paper and a paper towel and dry it off, and that's all you need. Another fun thing is if you have too much water in an area, you could actually dab off the color. So take a picture for your seesaw, and I can't wait to see what you created.